Hello and welcome to an instructional video on how to format your display. The first thing we are going to talk about today is displaying text. When displaying onto the screen, you use the command cout followed by the insertion operator, right here. And then for text, you always want to make sure that it's contained in double quotes, like so. At the end of every command in C++, make sure you have your semicolon. You'll find a lot of errors that stem from this later. So the simple command for outputting text is just cout insertion operator and then your text in double quotes. However, when you're displaying numbers, the double quotes aren't necessary. As you see here, you can just output the number and it'll go straight onto the screen. We'll talk about this in a minute. Let's first go test this out. So if we want to just put hello world on the screen, like we said, all you need is the command cout followed by the insertion operator and then your text within double quotes. Let's try that out. And it does exactly what we told it. It output hello world right here on the screen. You'll notice that it's all on one line. We can fix that super easy by adding a new line command, which is a backslash followed by an N. You make sure that is in the double quotes. So now we recompile it, output it, and there we go. So now let's try outputting a number. Let's say 3.4. And we want a new line. Another way to do a new line when it's not inside double quotes is with the command endl. And don't forget your semicolons. So there we go. Hello world, and my GPA is 3.4. Alright, so now that we're back here, let's take a look at these lines down here. The decimal here is really short, but what if you put in an infinitely long number? Your program wouldn't know when to stop. So we have a certain set of code that will tell your program exactly how many decimal spaces to output. Alright, so let's come test out our magic code over here. So let's make this 3.1415, which hopefully is a number familiar to you all. But since I don't know the rest of it, we'll just add a bunch of ones. When we put that out, we get some of these, but not all of them, because the program didn't know how far to go or when to stop, like we mentioned. So we're going to put in our magic code. It looks like this. So we're using the cout stream, so that's what we're going to moderate. And the command is just setf ios fixed. So let me explain what each of these does. This one basically is saying no scientific notation. This one is basically saying always show the decimal for real numbers, which are, as you know, decimal numbers. And this is telling us how many decimal spots we want. So hopefully now we will get 2. The other thing to know about using this is you need to include a different library called iominit. If you don't include that, your compiler won't recognize your calls to these particular commands. So we only got 2 spaces that time. If we put 3, we should get 1 more. So we'll recompile it. And perfect. That's exactly what we wanted. Alright, so now that we've tried implementing this, another shortcut to know is, instead of saying set precision, we can set it dynamically depending on where we want it. So if I wanted a different output in a different place, I could change it just like this. Let's go test that out. Alright, so we're back here. Let's clear that out. So, if we've got my GPA, let's do your GPA. And I know you're just all excellent students. So you probably all have 4.0s, right? You know what, we'll say you've got 4.5999. Even better. And then our little end line. So we have our precision set to 3, and this is sticky, which means that everything after this will have this code applied to it, unless I change it. So all of these will have a precision of 3, but I want to try our new code. So let's try our command, set precision, and how many places. So we're going to do this one at 4, and we'll just copy that. And let's say we'll do this one at 2 decimal places. Let's come over here. And just like we told it, we've got 4 decimal places right here and 2 decimal places right here. And as I mentioned earlier, if you don't want to have to specify every time, you can just set it up here, and that will be the number of decimal places outputted each time. Alright, so hopefully now you understand the set precision commands and will be able to implement those in your code. Let's talk about another important element called alignment. So, alignment is like on your receipts. On one side, usually the left side, all of the items are lined up. On the right side, all of the prices are lined up. So we want to teach you how to do that. There's a couple of methods for this. The first thing we're going to talk about is the tab character. So this tab character is just a backward slash followed by a T, and it should be inside your quotes. So we'll just change this a little bit. Alright. So the tab character moved it over. The number of spaces it moves over depends on your processor, so it's not always a certain number of spaces, but it is a good way to make your output just look pretty. If you want to use a certain number of spaces, we have a different command for that. So as I mentioned, we've got a couple options available to us in addition to the tab character. This is a command called setWidth. So the basic syntax is we have our cout, our insertion operator, and then the command setWidth, and the number of spaces we want goes right here, and then our text. The first statement will start at column 0 and then move 9 spaces to the right and begin filling from right to left. It'll look like this. So here's the code we just looked at, and the output is going to look like this. So there are 9 spaces between here and here. There are 6 blank spaces because 9 of them are being used for the letters SET, which makes sense. So there's a couple different things we can do here. Let's try changing the number. And see, now the width is only 4, so it's way over there. Let's try something different. We'll keep that at 10. So this is going to give us way more spaces. See? So you'll notice that it's right aligned. That is super easy to fix. All we have to do is output the C++ keyword left, and it will left align for us. I mentioned earlier about code being sticky. This is sticky, so I really could only do it once, and it will apply it to all the code below it. If I wanted to change it, I have to change this back to right. So we'll show you this real fast. So something to note, which I just noticed myself, is the new line. which is messing up our alignment. So we want to make sure and do that outside of our code. Not outside of our code, my mistake, sorry, outside of our double quotes. Let's try that. Just goes to show, no matter how good you think you are, you've always got more to learn. So now we've got it left aligned just like we wanted. Now, if we wanted to do one left and one right, use the keyword right, just like that. And so this one, you can't really tell because there's only one column, but this one is aligned to the left and this one's aligned to the right. Alright, that just about wraps it up. All the code you saw today should be online in your textbook. So take a look there and try testing this out before you implement it into your program.